listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
All right, welcome. You are listening to the Hemp Connoisseur Radio. As always, I have Jason in the studio with me. I'm David, and we have two very special guests here with us today. We have Adam and Cicci Dunn of Hood Lamp, my favorite hemp clothing line in existence, actually. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
So I just want to talk a little bit about, we're going to go into a little bit of news on agriculture. We always like to have a little bit of news, hemp facts for the Hemp Connoisseur Radio. And Jason pulled up some really cool stuff on how much, crops cost in the United States or are worth per acre. And so I'm going to let Jason get into that real quick, and we'll talk about the comparison between all of those and hemp.
Hey, but actually, before we do it, because we weren't here last Thursday.
That's true.
How was your last Thursday?
I was sick and laid up in bed, so it was terrible.
And,
but thanks for asking.
We definitely have to. We did have a recorded show last week, and we're going to blame it on Dave for us not actually being able to be live because Dave was sick. And as everybody knows out there, that this is a radio program that we have to have two people on. So when you only have one, it's very difficult to be able to have that conversation with people. So we want to thank Dave for making it so we had to run a recorded show last week.
Yeah,
thanks, Dave.
It's our first official rerun. We've only been around for 2 months. We're already in syndication. Go figure.
And I should know, but Chris, which show did you run last week?
I don't remember.
Successful show, it sounds like.
Obviously.
It was the one with, it was after the Amendment 64.
Oh, with Betty on there.
Betty Alderman.
Awesome.
Nice. That's a really, really, really...
It was very hazy right after that.
Yeah, he was a little hazy after that.
Go back.
Notice that pause? It was like,
Well, Chris is big into concentrates, and I'm sure he sat in here the whole time smoking it up because there's nobody here to keep him busy.
There's no way he did that.
Right? That's what you did, wasn't it, Chris?
Maybe.
So, welcome everybody out there. As most of you know, I do come from a little bit of an agricultural background. Didn't live on a farm or anything like that, but we had horses and you name it. We probably had it at one time or another, so very fascinated with the agricultural side of things. And it just so happens that without the agricultural side of hemp, you really can't have hemp. I don't think, right?
What you mean? If you can't grow hemp, you don't have it?
Yeah, you don't have it, right?
That's probably the most brilliant statement you've ever made.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
On this show, we come up with lots of brilliant statements, so it's good.
Yeah, that was amazing.
But we've never really dived really deep into the whole agricultural side of it. There's a lot that goes into it, although we definitely are passionate about it. We usually pick items of hemp that we talk about.
Well, yeah, we did do the hemp versus cotton argument for a while, and did talk a little bit about the differences between them.
Well, I want to talk about how the farmers are actually getting ripped off, and I was actually doing some work this morning, just on a couple other companies that we have, and I decided to do a search for just hemp and agricultural and economy. And actually, before we get into that, the first thing that popped up was hemp and Viagra. So I didn't want to get into too much of that this time. However,
Hemp Viagra.
Hemp and Viagra.
Hemp and Viagra. So it was very funny.
I would have made that immediately. Wait a minute. So hemp and Viagra popped up. So now,
but not agriculture.
But agriculture.
Well, agricultural popped up about 10 down the list, and I was like, what the hell is this?
Both have to do with growth.
And
rapid growth spurts.
And a lot of fun. So it's
Well, okay, I'm sorry. I guess we have to go into where the hemp and the Viagra thing came up. So please explain that.
All right. So,
because there is no hemp and Viagra, correct? I mean,
there is no hemp and no. Viagra is the Viagra is definitely a chemical out there that's designed to correct erectile dysfunction with a number of other things. But there's a lot of natural stimulants out there that will do the same exact thing. Okay. I wasn't searching for it or anything like that. I had no issues.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
That's what they all say.
And so I was very fascinated by it. I was like, what the hell is this? And it pulled up a list of a whole bunch of different things of natural remedies for
erectile dysfunction.
Dave's issues that he has.
And
so it's not funny because you take it to heart. So anyways, I did a little search on it. And I guess if you rub concentrates on a woman's area, like, I guess they have multiple potentially have multiple orgasms right away because it makes it so sensitive down there.
Like a concentration of hemp seed extract or hemp seed oil or something like that?
Hemp seed extract or marijuana itself, the THC
like
side
my concentrate.
of it.
Like
Never
my
heard that
concentrate.
one.
Yeah, I was very
I'll test that for you.
yeah,
Okay,
and so
I mean, we know that the hemp seeds are superfoods.
they are
superfoods, you're
they
right.
are superfoods, but it's a lot easier to get THC extracts out there right now than it actually is to get the hemp seed oil. You can't just walk to
Well, at least in Colorado.
at least in Colorado. So for all of you out there listening, if you're in Colorado, go get some concentrates and go home and have some fun.
Wait, I'm not going to recommend that to anybody because we don't know what happens when you topically put that on a sensitive area. There's no basis to claim for it yet.
It burns.
But we
But it was on the internet. It must be
But
true.
it must be
It
true
is.
'cause it's on the
Everything on the
internet. All right, so everybody do your own due diligence and research that. Go ahead and put in hemp and Viagra and see what you comes up with. I'm going to have to do that tonight just to see what the heck that's about.
And we would on the next show we'd like to hear some great stories. All right, so make sure all of you out there that are doing it, or send
We're now
emails.
trying to turn into the Howard Stern of hemp. Is that
Yep,
what
you
we're
can
saying?
send it to Dave's personal email
Let's
address.
not do that.
All right, so back on topic here.
There we
'cause,
go. Back on topic.
So we want to do a little bit more on the agricultural side of things, and again in the studio we have Adam and Cicci from Hemp Hoodlam.
I know, we would like to confuse people with our names.
It does, and we're usually not very easily confused over at the Hemp Connoisseur, but
Sure.
that one can do it pretty good. But right now, I guess a little bit. Your guys' product is made in Amsterdam, correct?
No.
No.
Okay, but it's a product of.
It's designed in Amsterdam and produced in China,
Okay.
which is now, as we all know, the only real place that you can produce enough hemp to satisfy our hungry, American diet of hemp products, which is we're the biggest consumers as always, and we don't produce any of it. Great,
That's
another
brilliant.
another genius plan.
Yeah, exactly.
However, the hoodlum, we actually started producing it back in Amsterdam.
You did?
Yeah. So it also, we went to like little sewing
Still with Chinese
ateliers.
hemp, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but brought the dyed fabrics, brought the zippers, brought everything, and the designs, and it was produced in Amsterdam.
For about 4 years, four or
years.
five,
Yeah.
4 or 5
Is this
years.
when you were just getting started? And
Yeah, this
The
is when we're doing
beginning.
short runs and
Right.
and actually the crazy part is some of those jackets are still out there being worn.
Yeah.
And I mean, because they were being done in such short runs, where the quality control was perfect because we could look at every single jacket. Once you did China, it was always the learning curve of you have the first year of the zipper drama, or and it's like once you do it in a big scale, it's bigger problems.
Sure.
Yeah,
Just
and
the numbers.
Gave us a chance to refine our product over
Right.
about 4 years, about 4 or 5 years.
So you guys looking eventually? Well, obviously it's not legal to grow. Well, okay,
Well,
let's
it
take it
is.
step by step. It is legal to grow hemp in America. However, farmers are not willing to step out of their comfort zone
'Cause it's
and
not federally.
chance their farms on actually growing the product here. So
Yeah, and the growing techniques. If you see China, how they grow it, it's for fiber. They're not
Right.
worried about seed production. And when you look in Canada, which is like Manitoba and places that actually are producing large amounts of hemp, that's strictly for seed, and it doesn't even.
Right.
The plant is very versatile and it can change depending on how you grow it. So if you grow them really close, which is like broadcasting seeds where you just throw them down, they compete for light. Then they grow really thin, really tall,
Right, and that's exactly-
and produce great fiber.
Yep. Right.
When you spread them out a little bit, they branch out. They get thicker. The stems get thicker, produce more cellulose, and then they're better for paper.
Right.
So it's like one of those, and better for building materials.
Sure.
And of course, the seed being the most valuable part of the plant. You seed the whole crop, take the seeds off first, work whatever else is left.
yeah, I was looking at a video earlier today, and it's pretty amazing how they chop the tops of those plants off.
Yeah.
Like right below right below where the flower is to get the seeds, and then you just look across the field, and all it is stalks that are standing up.
Yeah.
And then they have another machine that actually goes through and chops all that down and kind of goes. So it's really kind of a neat way to see that all what happens with
It's
that.
a massive amount of production off of one plant. That's the beauty of the whole thing is that you're getting all these different parts of the plant, like the seeds. I'm sure everybody knows. I mean, there's so many products you can do from that. But then the stem and the stems and the inside of the plant are also very valuable. And
And even the roots, that they give back to
Yep.
the
Yeah, I was
nutrition
gonna
to the
say,
soil. So yeah, a massive place.
And I know we talked about this actually when we interviewed you for the first issue of the Hemp Connoisseur just over a year ago. It's amazing that it's already been a year, but
Goes fast.
yeah, it does go fast.
Lots has happened in that year.
A
too.
lot has happened that year. And one of the things we talked about was why you moved to Colorado from Amsterdam, because of course everybody thought at the time, well, Amsterdam's a place to be for, cannabis in general.
Yeah.
And, you guys made the choice to come to Colorado, and you looked in your crystal ball, and it looks like you guys made the exact right prediction to come here. Yeah. So, a year later, let's talk about that. Like, how do you feel being here for now kind of settled into Colorado for a year? I'm assuming you're very happy with the move.
Oh, for sure.
It's been a very eventful year for you guys as well. You have a new member of the family as well.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Little Nick.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's
No,
the
it's-
baby's name? I'm sorry.
His name is Nick O'Ryan.
Nick. Nice.
Yeah. NYC, we spell it though, a little. We
Give it a little
you got to throw a
You
little
gotta be
twist.
different.
Got it. Can't be those.
Nice.
Yeah. But no, there's been a great. I was so happy to have chosen Colorado. I came here kind of on a whim just to see what was going down, and I realized the thing is, the big decisions in life, you tend to make them really fast, because it's like it's something you feel
It's
right away.
weird that way,
It's a gut
isn't it?
feeling.
And it was like I came here, and I think within 10 days I decided that was it. I'd actually left here already. I came here maybe 5 days. I went to California, saw what was going on in California. It wasn't comparable. I was like, no, Colorado has the right something, because it was about. I think a lot of it has to do with the population, because it's when you have a massive population anywhere like California has, it's just hard to ever. There's so many people with so many agendas, and it's like to get everybody on the same page is almost impossible.
And it's hard to make your mark there as well when
Yeah.
there's so many other people in that
and
area.
California has, in 95 when they started, I was in Amsterdam and had my shop, and I was blown away by what was going on in California. And then Canada kind of went to the same way, and I had this moment around 99 where I thought, I'm going to move to Canada, but then I didn't make any of these big moves because things changed so rapidly. Like, those places went from sounding great to sounding terrible overnight almost. And so this decision was based on the fact that we were getting to that point where I could see, especially with the internet and everything, that was like, The Emperor Wears No Clothes is a great name for a title of a book, because it's the reality of now we're at that point where the kid's actually shouting, look, he's not wearing any clothes, and everybody knows because the internet opened that door.
Right.
So I think that was a big difference, and like back then it wasn't so gelled.
Yeah, but I think also that we always say that Colorado is a little bit how Amsterdam was in 93, 94 in a lot of ways. It's like, so I think we picked up a lot on those vibes too.
Right.
People embraced hemp culture. They're like really excited about the clothes, and it fitted perfectly into the whole culture here. So it was very easy. First time I came here was like December 2010, and I was like, we have to like open up a 100% hoodlum store.
Sure.
Not only like the climate is perfect for it, but it's also like how embracing people were to the product.
Now, coming from Amsterdam, because everybody thinks, you could just go there and smoke this and go there, and it's like 100% legal. That's a misconception, isn't it? Because it's not really that way.
It's funny. It is a misconception, but at the same time, in the actual town of Amsterdam, pretty much you can get away with almost anything.
Right.
Once you get outside of Amsterdam, things change quite rapidly, because you're back into this. You're in Holland, and Holland, like about 3.5% of the population smokes there. So you're talking about a very small population, and within that, it's even smaller the types of people that are there. So it's like whereas in America, that's what I loved about it, was I could be with 5 different kinds of people all sitting in the same place, smoke together, and they have this funny misconception about Americans, like that when they want to smoke American style, they basically pass the joint really fast. So fast you're like, it's not even funny. It's like, okay, guys, relax. We're not that bad.
Right.
But they don't have the same social idea of smoking. Their idea is more like personal. Everybody has their own.
Hot potato.
It's a very different. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And it's so the thing is, what I recognized being over there was that as an American living there, every day for me was like fantasy, So I was happy every day I woke up and had that feeling like, I'm living in the greatest place in my mind at the time. But it is a bubble, and you do get stuck in that little bubble, because it hasn't changed that much. Like, I was just there a few weeks ago, and it's kind of stepping up now because of the globalization. Everybody's, making their places look a little nicer or whatever, but it's still pretty pretty small scale compared to what is going to happen here, because this place is about to go completely bizarre.
Well, because we also just said, hey, we're fully legal. I mean, again, like you were saying, it's decriminalized in Amsterdam.
Thank you, Hickenlooper, for signing that finally.
Yeah,
it's tolerated. It's it's like it's not completely legal. They tolerate it, basically. That's their political way of looking at it.
And the funny part is that if you've lived there, you realize that the Dutch aren't as tolerant as you think they are when it comes to just, I mean, now you see it now because with the whole Muslim thing. They've been in the news a lot, and it's like they had, they show their true colors a little bit more. And with the smoking side, I mean, because there's only 3.5%, you don't have a lot of backup. There's like maybe 5 activists in the entire country that are really active, and the rest of them, it's like whenever they do a hemp rally or a legalization thing, it's pathetic. You see, you come together and you're like, really? But they don't have the feeling that they have to fight so hard because it's already there.
Yeah, and you could notice that also a little bit with our shop, the Hemp Works, back in Amsterdam. Actually, our best customers were Americans came every year. Like, we had such dedicated people coming. Every year, same faces. It became like a real family. But you also notice that the movement is so much bigger in the States than it is over there.
Interesting.
And it took us a long time, many years, to reach those local customers in Amsterdam.
Wow. Well, we have to go to break. I'd like to go back into talking about the movement and the differences between the United States and what's going on in Amsterdam when we get back. So thanks so much for joining us, Adam and Cicci.
No problem.
From Hoodlam. We'll be back in just a moment.
We Grow Colorado, the premier medical marijuana dispensary in Colorado Springs, is proud to be a part of the medical marijuana community. We Grow Colorado works hard to make every patient feel comfortable and informed. With a great selection of medical cannabis in multiple forms, the patient finds many premium choices to aid in their self-treatment. The staff at We Grow Colorado is another large part of what makes We Grow Colorado the #1 choice for many patients throughout the state. Visit them today at 2502 East Bijou Street in Colorado Springs for an experience that will last and last.
Dixie Elixirs, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment, brings you Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley Brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
That Mad Hatter Smoke Shop has everything from space glass to butane and butane accessories, I tell you what. Located at 6091 West Colfax in Lakewood, and now at 2615 Walnut Street in Denver. Ah! God damn it, Reclaim, put your pants back
Dixie
on.
Elixirs and Edibles, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment. Dixie Elixirs infused sparkling beverages, Dixie Edibles, dewdrops, tonics, and Dixie Scripts extraordinarily concentrated cannabis extract capsules, along with Dixie Botanicals, all-natural topical therapy. All of these medicinal remedies are available at your local medical marijuana center. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
You're listening to Hemp Connoisseur Radio on iCannabisRadio.com.
All right, thank you. We are back with Adam and Cicci Dunn of Hoodlam. Adam and Cicci, sorry. We were talking about the difference in the movements in Amsterdam and America as a whole. And, you were just saying how in the United States, everybody's way more into the movement than they are in Amsterdam. Do you think it's because, the way it's been done in Amsterdam and the decriminalization, you think they've been kind of lulled to sleep out there in a way?
I mean, there's a bit more complacency, obviously, in the fact that you're fighting for something that's already there, So it's When I started my shop in Amsterdam in '93, it was called the CIA. That was my first store, and our concept was a sort of counter information agency of cannabis. And our thing was, you came to us and we told you where to go to buy what, similar to what you guys are doing, except we had like a map on the wall, and we just put pegs in and told people, well, at this one you get AK-47 over here or bubble gum over there, and we started off like that, but we were also obviously, became like this little epicenter of activism. So we were at one point pretty much the activists of Amsterdam. There wasn't really much going on. And then there's a guy named Noel van Schaik who's pretty famous, and he has the Willy Wardle's shop, and he's one of the. There's basically it's just him, Jackie Wardle, and Vernard, who's the guy who runs Positronics.
So it started the first coffee shop in Amsterdam, Yellow Mellow, right?
Mellow Yellow.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of group as like Mila.
And they're in the same age group mostly. And the thing is that was the thing is they didn't really bring in a lot of the young energy. And the thing is that the Dutch, again, you kind of go back to it really comes down to who's smoking and who's not, because they kind of go together. Where if you're not a smoker, you're not really dedicated to helping this plant go any further, because it doesn't have anything to do with your lifestyle. But when people become sort of involved in the lifestyle, which is what we are, we're a lifestyle brand,
right?
And because it's a hemp lifestyle, we're pretty much covering every single aspect of life as we know it. So it depends on your inspiration and which way you want to go with it. So for us, doing the clothing is one side. Other people I know went strictly with food because of all the omega. I mean, there's so much benefits on the food side. And then, it's like it's great, but it also sometimes makes it hard for people to focus because there's just so many things that you can get involved in. And with the hemp movement over there, it was basically, I mean, they kind of went for the easy stuff. There was like the
coffee shops, tourism.
Well, like I had a really hard time trying to sell the idea of hemp to a coffee shop. I'd go to coffee shops and say, well, why don't you guys have, maybe you want to wear some hemp
clothing,
or you want to do this, and they just would like look at me like I was kind of and they didn't understand. I'm saying you make all your money off of this plant,
right?
So maybe you should give some money back so that this plant can grow further and become an actual thing.
I basically think that the knowledge wasn't really there even.
They have a hash museum. There's knowledge. The knowledge is there. The problem is you have to be willing to, you have to have like a little bit of a drive. America always had the drive because of the fact that it was illegal.
Was it ever legal to grow hemp? Has it always been legal to grow hemp in Amsterdam?
You can grow hemp for the great thing was when I first moved there. It was in 1989, and the rules were a little different than now. Now you're allowed, technically in some areas of Holland, you're allowed to grow 5 plants, under 6 plants.
Marijuana.
Hemp, this was an interesting thing. When I first came there, you could grow it for a windbreak. So if you had a farm, for instance, you could grow it all along the windy side of your farm, and that would block the wind and make it easier to grow something inside. And so, but nobody really seemed to.
They didn't do anything with it after
wasn't
that,
like people were really doing it that much.
I don't think they were evaluating the actual crop and the versatility of the plant.
And do they know what's going on in America over there?
Well, now they do, and now that was the most satisfying part of going back to this last Cannabis Cup, was to have all the Dutch people there basically look at me and say, "Man, you made the right decision, huh?" Yeah, I went to where it's legal now. This is not. We're not just talking about it. It's like reality. We're doing something about it, which is, that's the part I like about this whole situation is that no longer can we be ignored, and that's the problem, is we've been ignored so long.
Do they make some of their decisions based on Americans' economy? Because like over here, every single year the hemp economy in America goes up. Like last year, we imported $450 million worth of hemp.
Yeah, well, the thing is, they're not producing any product in Holland that is exporting it from hemp. They're not.
If they are, they're using it there, and that's about it.
Well, the funny part is, there's only one major company there, and that is the same guy, Ben Dronkers, that I was telling you about earlier from Sensi Seeds, and he's his name is Hemp Flax is the name of the company, and the problem is that they had the exact problem which every farmer here is going to have, which is they produced a bunch of hemp. But then what are they going to do with it?
There's not enough refining infrastructure.
There's no infrastructure for that. And so they came up with horse bedding, which is really nice, but it costs 4 to 6 times as much as normal horse bedding. So most people are we're talking about stuff that horses sleep in. They're not really going to go above and beyond the Call of Duty and start spending 6 times the amount. Maybe a few people for their little ponies or something. But
yeah, but then again, I think there's a different, like they value the plant very differently. If all you can come up with is horse bedding or like something for animals, well, we think like, oh, the hemp seeds, they're superfoods. They, you know, they can be made, you know, all these products. And in America, yeah, there's more knowledge and more valuation, and like I mean, also the whole like patient movement. You don't have patients there. Well, there's no medical marijuana, or there's like one shitty strain that's being produced, and nobody doesn't. The people don't even know that there is medical marijuana in Holland.
Right. They don't think of it in that way.
No.
Or anything.
Well, but the funny part is you can get it at a pharmacy there. So
really?
Yeah. So there is medical marijuana. It's just don't tell anybody.
No one knows it.
And it's not. It is not pushed like the same. It's pushed like you really have to go to your doctor, your normal doctor, and he has to prescribe it to you. And it's hard to convince a doctor there to prescribe it to you because I had a prescription there. I was like going to go out of my way to make sure that I was protected because as the rules changed there, I realized, hey, I can't even go to a concert with more than 5 grams or they're going to start to hassle me, you know? So I would pull out my prescription and they go, oh, okay, now you're good, you know? And you can actually fly inside of the EU with cannabis. So it was actually opening up.
You can even fly to Sweden, right?
Yeah, you can fly to any Schengen country as long as you're tell them ahead of time that you're coming with it.
Oh, so you just have to like kind of declare it just like you would like.
So it's so it was actually starting to the cracks were developing there where it was actually coming. But I think they have less than 1,000 patients in the whole country. And it's like mostly Americans and foreigners that figured it out. You know, it's all the seed company. Every seed company owner is a medical patient over there.
Well, and I'm not
Coincidence?
Right.
I don't know. We're all sick. Sick in the head.
Well, that's the thing with Europe just came out and was upset at Colorado and Washington for legalizing.
Yeah.
The product, and I'm just like, that's kind of crazy. I mean, it's great that it's happening, but it's like, okay, well, you got this plan.
It's nice to piss people off.
It is. Yeah. I mean, you know what? If you're not pissing somebody off, then you're not
doing anything.
Right? Exactly. You know, and you know, we talked a little bit during the break, and I want to talk a little bit more about this because you know, I think your company and our company as a hemp connoisseur and Hoodlamp, we both kind of sit on both sides of the fence when it comes to the hemp industry and the marijuana industry. And I know we've gotten some backlash from mostly the hemp industry, honestly, when it comes to that. Have you guys experienced that as well when you've talked to people within the industries? You know, I mean...
Yeah.
Within the industry, I think there's sort of a common thread, which most of the people... if they're in Amsterdam at my store, for instance, in the last 20 years, if they're standing there in my store and we're talking, they're probably open-minded enough that they don't mind.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But it's when you step out into the real world sometimes, which is like where, you know, and that's the thing about like now Colorado maybe is turning into its own little bubble like Amsterdam was, where for us it's no big deal, you know, we're used to it. But then you'll see as people come here and are just, you know, coming in from like Kentucky or wherever, and they're just wide-eyed, and they're going to be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it!" But the reality is, I mean, we never tried to separate it because I'm a consumer and I'm a producer, and you know, and so I'm obviously going to be part of the industry from both sides,
right.
And I think they drive each other. You know?
I mean, a lot of times we are actually forced to separate it a bit, like the different brands that we are promoting. We can't really talk about THC, you know, weed when we talk about Hoodlamp. But at the same time, yeah, obviously we are people that we promote the whole lifestyle. We promote everything about the plant. You know, yeah, sure, they're sister plants, but you know, it's from the same family.
Right. So, well, and I look at the legalization of marijuana and obviously hemp in Colorado as a really good stage more for hemp. I mean, look, everybody's going to be excited about the marijuana side. Everybody's going to come to Colorado because they want to legally be able to smoke as adults, and they're going to get excited. And I'm looking at that as like, that's a perfect opportunity for us as industry people to educate them on hemp and the benefits, and let's really get hemp grown everywhere.
Well, the thing is, too, when you actually produce, like, tonnage, you know what I mean, compared to just, like, oh, I have 1,000, or I have 1,000 patients, or even whatever, it might sound impressive. 1,000 lights sounds impressive to people. Oh my God, it's great. But thousands of acres is way more impressive. I mean, that's when you start to see that you're actually connected to the ground. You're doing something to the earth. You're changing. You're changing your environment. You know.
Well, you are. But the thing, and that's awesome. Going back into it, because on the same article that I got all these notes from, is that the hemp industry itself, once it's fully rocking and rolling, will produce 100 million jobs
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
That's
That's
pretty
real
I mean,
change there.
but it is real change. But you're not talking about people that are just directly related to the hemp industry. I mean, it's going to be creating positions for people that need to go in and service people that are creating jobs in this industry.
Well,
And I think that's how they figured a large number like that out. I mean, 100 million is not chump change when it comes down to providing jobs for people.
And I think that's a good point, Jason. I mean, a lot of people don't. I mean, when you say 100 million jobs, that seems like, oh my God, that's a ridiculous number. But a perfect example for, I don't know why this analogy comes in, but when the NFL was on strike for a short period of time. What was it, 2-3 years ago, I think? And they were talking about how many jobs or how much business would be lost by the fact that, okay, now you have all the bars in the areas and the sports bars and all the bartenders and the servers and those restaurants.
Right.
We're losing so much revenue. Yeah. Those are the ancillary jobs that you're talking about just in relation to that kind of thing. And then when you're talking about, when it comes to the hemp industry, 100 million jobs, you have the farmers. Then you have, all the guys selling the tractors and the refining plants. And then you have the paper mills and the places that are taking, clothing companies such as yourselves.
Well, you got John Deere opening up another plant to build these tractors.
Right,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? So,
And it just
and the number one thing is that this is to produce product here in America for once. I mean,
Yes.
this hasn't happened. We've been outsourcing everything for so long that it's like this could be the reality check that America needs, where it's like, hey guys, you may have to work. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's
Hey,
like-
but let's
but these
produce
are good.
something. Let's
Right, but
produce
these are good jobs. And
but at the same time, I think now everybody's kind of over the fact of, they thought it was a great idea to outsource because it would be easier because we would have these cushy jobs and life would be great. But the reality is our quality is going down, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Well, Apple is now bringing all of their, again, not a hemp product, but Apple now is bringing all of those jobs back over to the United States.
They are?
Yeah,
they weren't doing such a good job over there. So
No, they weren't. They weren't.
Yeah,
They
this
were
is
having
a
lot
new
of issues
thing.
there.
Just in the last couple of weeks, they announced that
that's
they're
good to
bringing
see.
those plants
good to
back to America. But going into it is that the hemp crop itself, the tobacco crop right now in America is the most expensive crop. It's the most valuable crop in there.
How much do you get per acre for tobacco?
You get about $3,500 per acre for tobacco right now. So the top three in America right now is tobacco, then potatoes, and then corn.
But so now you said tobacco. What do you get for potatoes and corn?
So
So corn being so super subsidized too.
Yep. So for potatoes, you get 8 cents a pound, but it's about you make anywhere from $1,400 to $1,600 per acre is what it is. Potatoes obviously are pretty heavy. Is a pretty heavy crop, and then you get to corn. Which
add a
is,
couple heavy metals in there, it'll be good. Beef it up a little bit.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep. And then corn, you get about $800 an acre. Now, if you had to throw out there exactly what you'd be doing, now a lot of people the energy independence for America is going to come probably from the hemp plant, because you can get 30 barrels of oil, and as most people know out there, you make gasoline or ethanol, methanol, diesel out of oil. Mm-hmm. And from 1 acre of hemp, you can get 30 barrels of oil out of 1 acre of hemp. At $70 a bale now, it's about $84, I think, is what you saw last, right, Dave? About
Yes.
$84 a bale.
I think it was around 84 is what I heard today. I mean, and oil that's considered cheap at this moment. It's like what I filled up my tank at $3.13 a gallon today.
Mm-hmm. But if
I know
you're going,
it's gone down, huh?
You know what's messed up, by the way? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to.
No.
But as a side note, the fact that we are so trained when it comes to the price of oil that or gasoline, I should say, to be more specific, that when I say $3.13 and I'm like, oh, that's a good price. That is a horrible price compared to what it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
Well, the funny part is living in Europe for so long is that gas is about $8 a gallon over there, right? And nobody cares, and nobody
So it's
talks about
bargain
it.
over here
I haven't
for
heard
it.
one person for the 21 years I lived there. I don't think one person ever said to me, "Hey, gas went up 10 cents or down." Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
But I'm
because
sure they don't drive
They're all
as much
commuters who drive with 4 people in a car, 5 people in a car. They don't go long distances. They don't live, 100 miles from work every day usually. So people aren't so dependent on it. But it's just amazing because even Canada and all these other places that you'd expect, or like in Australia, it's so much more expensive because it's taxed kind of more properly because they want people to not drive.
But it's so
far.
It's so different in America though, because America is is a wealthy country. Everybody in America's got money.
I think a lot of that has to do with just how old our country is. I mean, when you look at Europe, those cities have been around way before the automobile, so they weren't designed with the automobile in mind.
Right.
Whereas here in the United States, our cities are designed for the automobile and forcing us to drive everywhere. I mean, I remember moving from Chicago to Colorado Springs, and I had a car in Chicago, and I used it once in a while, but most of the time I didn't use it.
Public transit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great public transportation. I came to Colorado Springs, and I was like, geez, I'm driving to go like 2 blocks down the street now. I'm getting used to this driving culture.
Yeah.
Back home in Amsterdam, we're on the bike.
You're on the bike.
14 years on the bike. Kept you really fit.
Yeah. and I think that's the thing is it's almost like unfortunate that the United States cities developed in the middle of the industrial age. I mean, we looked at it at the time as, oh, this is great, you know, but now we're looking at it like, wow, this is a detriment.
Well, it's like Los Angeles, I mean, classic example.
Perfect example.
You know, you're like, well, basically they had it all, you know, they had it all. It was all perfect. They destroyed it all and built it for cars, you know, and you're like, wow, that was a great idea. Genius.
Yep.
Well, but going back to the facts that we have on here, and I will actually send Chris over an email with the link. Maybe we'll put the YouTube video up that we got a lot of this information on.
It's a long video.
It's 37 minutes, but it's the most informative hemp video you will ever watch. It was put out just this last August, so just a couple months old, and it's. I encourage everybody to watch it. Actually, you can get onto if you get onto Cannabis Energy Drink Rocky Mountain Region's website, the link is on that site. You have to go down the timeline a little bit.
On their Facebook site or the website?
On the Facebook site. So do that, or it's under hotdiggity.com's website or our Facebook page also. You can click on it because we just share everything between all the companies. But going back to it is that so the hemp plant itself can create 100 million jobs. Okay, but if we can get into producing gasoline out of this product, well, now you can go purchase a gallon of gas for $1. So you're creating jobs. You're lowering the price of gasoline.
But by the way, I just want to say that the price that he just said on $1, he inflated. Because earlier today he told me it was 50 cents a gallon. I said, wait a minute. If it's 50 cents a gallon, we should charge another 50 cents in taxes to help infrastructure for the country. Let's just make it $1 per gallon. So
but the reason I did that because the video itself doesn't say anything about the taxes or anything like that. So I'm going off, you know, I'm definitely inflating it.
Yeah.
But still, it's $1. You would still be saving a couple bucks a gallon at that point, even if it was $2. I
am old enough to remember 99-cent gallon of gas, but it was.
Yeah, you are.
I know. But what
I just started driving.
Yeah. We're talking a long, long time ago, though. Now, yeah. I don't want to say the year, but most people probably can't remember that are listening to this radio show now. They're probably like, oh yeah, I remember when it was like $1.89, but $1 a gallon was. We've had it around that price for a long time until all of a sudden it just started getting inflated.
I remember 79 cents, but
yeah, okay,
damn, just to date myself a little bit here.
Yeah.
On my way home,
that's actually my biggest fascination. Even though I don't really care about gas prices that much, but it is for old photos now. That's my fascination. Every time I see an old photo, I look at the price of gas. If there's a gas station in the picture, I'll be like, "Look at that!
Yeah,
20 cents a gallon."
Yeah,
I live out in Brighton, and on the way home, I take I-70 to 85. But there's an old gas station on the north side, and it still says $1.35.
Nice.
I mean, it's all shut down,
right?
But that was the last price that they had up before they shut down was $1.35, and I just daydream driving past that because you're like, the good old days. Are we due for a break?
We are actually very due for a break. I guess we've already went over. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Cicci and Adam Dunn of Hoodlam. Great conversation, guys. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
The Hemp Connoisseur is Colorado's premier guide to hemp culture. Our mission is to elevate the image of the medical cannabis and hemp industries to create widespread acceptance of the cannabis sativa plant. You can find the latest issue of the Hemp Connoisseur at more than 200 7-Elevens, your favorite dispensary, MMJ doctor offices, and tattered covered bookstores. Do you consider yourself a cannabis connoisseur? Then come be a part of the Hemp Connoisseur's first cannabis championship. Visit us at thcmag.com for info on how to sample the best medicine Colorado has to offer.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Dixie Elixirs and Edibles, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment. Dixie Elixirs infuse sparkling beverages. Dixie Edibles, dewdrops, tonics, and Dixie Scripts extraordinarily concentrated cannabis extract capsules, along with Dixie Botanicals, all natural topical therapy. All of these medicinal remedies are available at your local medical marijuana center. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Dispensary in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado, and remember,
always be kind to each other.
Green Monster Glass, a full selection of glass and glass accessories, as well as all of your smoking needs. Stock your dispensary or smoke shop with reasonably priced glass from Green Monster Glass. Green Monster Glass is locally owned and operated. Find us on Facebook or call Daryl at 719-217-5380. That's 719-217-5380.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
All right, we are back, and thank you for joining us for the Hemp Connoisseur Radio. We have Cicci and Adam Dunn from Hoodlam here, having a great time with you guys today. What did we just finish up with right before the break? We were talking about gas.
A lot of gas talk.
A lot of gas talk. A lot of gallon of gas.
Had too many beans today.
You know, there was actually just a couple more things on the
on the agriculture side.
Yeah, on the agricultural side. If you had to guess, how many acres are there in America that we use for growing product?
Well, I already know this because we talked about it.
Yeah, because we talked about it.
So
How about you guys? How many millions of acres do you think we have?
That we have or that we use? I don't know.
That's a good point.
That we have,
and what we use are
good question. Good question.
Yeah, he knows.
I would say we're probably using about 5% of what we should be using for us, probably.
How many millions is that, would you say?
It's
billions and
millions. But it's less than a billion, okay?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's also acres always screw me up.
They screw me up too.
I'm so into metric now.
Yeah.
After living in Europe for so long.
European metric system.
They go by what, hectare?
Hectare, yeah.
Now, what is a hectare? I always forget that.
1,000 by 1,000?
1,000 by 1,000, yeah. We kind of keep it simple. Everything's.
It's 1,000 meters by 1,000 meters.
Yeah.
So the metric system would be simpler.
Yeah, it is.
It really would.
There's nothing that made me nothing about. What
don't
we
even
do
start
makes any
about
sense.
ounces and stuff. I don't get it.
Yeah, the conversion on that stuff is. We had to actually look it up here a little bit.
But when I got back to Amsterdam, I was all, oh yeah, give me a quarter of that, and people are like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh man, I've been back to 3.57, trying to get people to figure out the numbers, and it's amazing. But so how many billions and billions of?
So it's not billions. It's actually we only have 950 million acres
That's
in
America.
It's almost a billion.
Let's just say just under a billion. There you go.
But what we use on a yearly basis is half.
Okay.
Half
is half of that.
That's more than I thought.
And if you had to get into,
but are we growing mostly GMO crap, or are we?
Of course.
Yes, of course. Yeah, you're growing the top three crops that we discussed.
Yeah, that's like one of the more scary things about moving back to America is that I really have to like tiptoe around food because I'm always worried about GMOs. And in Europe, it's illegal. I mean, we're that's one thing I loved about Europe is that they're very smart when it came to certain things about themselves.
Don't get us on the subject of GMOs because
no, he just did.
It will get us upset because Dave seriously is growing red in the face and it's not going to be a good conversation. Well, it'd be a good conversation.
I want to do everything I can to
I feel kind of dumb because I don't know what GMO means.
I'm glad you asked.
Just for the people that are listening that don't know.
Genetically modified
organics.
There you go.
Right.
Which in a way doesn't make sense. It's kind of an oxymoron to say it's genetically modified and organic at the same time.
Which is not.
Fluff it up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Natural.
Look, we could have an entire show on GMO. What I would recommend to every one of our listeners is, just to get to start touching on that, to watch like documentaries like Food Inc. and like look into Monsanto as a company, which a lot of people don't realize. They think of it as a seed company, but it's actually a chemical company that makes seeds.
Well, anytime you make a plant that produces its own pesticides, you're pretty much on the wrong path.
Thank you. I know it's crazy.
Because that's not nature.
It's like, hello, we have actually come to this far without this. So probably a good idea not to introduce this into the wild because it's not going to do us any good, and it's definitely not. For the biggest problem, and this is what scares a lot of people in the industry here too, is of course, we all work with different strains of cannabis, and they're very special to us. I have a company called TH Seeds, so all my strains are sort of proprietary to myself, and that's the big scary moment now because of the big businesses coming in. Everybody's afraid they're going to come in, try to steal all our names. I've trademarked my names that I can, whatever's trademarkable, I have done. But a lot of these other people haven't, so I'm sure there's going to be that coming around. And it's just like any multinational corporation is probably not really looking out for you in the long run. They're really profit-driven companies. So that's how they got to where they are to become multinational corporations. So
now we're definitely getting off subject. However, Obama just said that he was going to reintroduce, bringing that conversation back in, right? I mean, I got that information from you. So.
No. Obama didn't say that, actually. Obama said that a long time ago, and what I was telling you about was that Bill Maher actually kind of went off on Obama for not keeping up with his promise to, for labeling of GMO, which, again, not like what Europe is doing, which is just saying no GMOs, but he's talking about just making sure that if you buy it, it's labeled.
I couldn't believe that cannabis became legal and labeling of GMOs didn't pass. I could not. That was shocking to me because that seemed like a no-brainer. It shouldn't even be an issue.
It shouldn't be,
and it shouldn't even be a question. It should be a mandatory thing. That is what protects the people. You know what I mean? So they're obviously not out to protect you.
And just go into the GMO conversation and Monsanto more specifically because they're a scary company. Is the way they took over the farming. And the fact that, so just to give people a little bit of background, there was until I think it was the late 70s, I can't remember the exact date, it was mid-70s, late 70s, you could not patent anything organic. You just couldn't do it. Because it was look, this is organic, it's grown. You can't patent it and own something that is created by nature. Monsanto kind of came in and they worked to get those laws changed. And what they said was look, if I modify this organic product, I can create a patent on it because it now has its genetic blueprint that I've created, and now I own that blueprint. So what happens is they created what was called as GMO seeds with the pesticides in it. They convinced, let's just say, I think the first time GMOs really showed up, you were looking at 2 to 3% of the farmers in an area might have GMO seeds that they convinced to grow it. But so they grow those GMO seeds. The problem is I have a farm just across the way from your farm.
Exactly.
And now the wind blows your pollen over to my farm. And now I have your GMO genetics on my farm. Now Monsanto would come in like straight up thugs and basically say, look, you now have genetically modified pollen from our seeds. We own this and you didn't pay us for this. So now you need to pay us for this or we'll own your farm. And they've won almost every case they've ever sued people for on this. And all of a sudden, they've slowly invaded all of these farms.
And narrowed down all the varieties. There used to be at least 60 different kinds of potatoes, and now we're only growing 4 or 3 or 4. And that for every single vegetable out there, it's been narrowed down.
And anybody who grows, anybody who's a farmer knows that one of the most important things you want to do is save your seeds every year because those are heirloom seeds. They've grown in that soil. They've
adapted to that environment.
They've adapted to that environment. They grow stronger in that environment. If it's a seed that's, an heirloom seed from Colorado, it knows it's drought resistant. It's been around for hundreds of years and it keeps modifying and getting better and better to grow in that climate. But when you do what you call a monoculture, like you guys have said, now it's easier to get to that whole dust bowl talk that we've had last time, where now it can't handle the drought like it can in other if it was an heirloom.
But going into the Dust Bowl thing and I think that's why half of the farmland is planted on a yearly basis. Is I think a lot, at least out in Colorado, we do strip cropping, which is you alternate your fields every other year. That way you're not taking all the nutrients out of it. Well, the great thing about hemp is that you can grow the hemp in the off seasons or the off years and make that soil a lot more fertile. So that you have a better crop that comes in next year.
Well, plus you have a cash crop that the farmer gets to grow now.
But that's right. And if we grew, Jay, you have something to say real quick?
Nah, never mind.
No, but getting into it, because if we grew with 450 million acres available every year, if we grew between 12 and 34 million of those acres,
let's call it 420 million just to sound cool.
420. Yes, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Actually, my math is wrong. It is 420. So
420.
Yeah.
Amazing.
If we grew just 12 to 34 million, we would be 100% energy independent, at least on the automobile side. We would never have to use any crude oil, and so now these farmers are making the money on it. It's absolutely insane what the federal government is doing by not letting us grow this plant.
Well, it's one of the things that I noticed when I first came to Colorado as I drove from the airport to Fort Collins, and I took that toll road, and it's pretty much the most bleak road you've ever driven on. And that was my first sort of view, because I didn't even see Denver. I just kind of got off the plane, took that highway. I was driving with my mom, and I was looking at this farmland everywhere, and everywhere it said, like, proudly growing for Coors Brewery, and it was like some dilapidated, rusty sign that hadn't been, nothing was been growing there for who knows how long. And I was just like, wow, this place has got a lot of farmland that's not being used, and it just seems like, kind of like the perfect place, because now with Jason Love and the 1099
the fighter remediation bill,
so that whole thing, and actually that's where we live just above the Rocky Flats, so for me that is my dream, to drive down the bottom of our hill and see fields of hemp growing, knowing that it's helping the soil out and helping helping this once barren land that was completely contaminated.
It's poisoned.
And there's so much of that in Colorado. Mixed in with the beauty of Colorado is all these stripped mine spots that have been just abandoned and are now carcinogenic in a sense, because they're either uranium or plutonium or whatever they were mining at the time, and so just the fact that could actually be a way to bring it all back here,
right? And I don't know if you know this, but it actually the health side of it, by planting on Rocky Flats and cleaning it up, a lot of people don't know that if you take a map of or the way the wind moves in Colorado, and you lay it on top of a map of people that are documented with cancer, they're almost identical. Because the poisons that are coming off of Rocky Flats is causing cancer in people. People just
don't. Not to scare you guys for living near there. Right?
Yeah, I live upwind, so we're
okay. Perfect.
You're good.
So, but people don't realize this. So imagine if we did clean up Rocky Flats with that.
Oh yeah.
The health benefits just from the wind. Well, it's nuts. It really upsets me that the government is doing this shit.
Well,
it's not good.
And not just cosmetically. I mean,
how beautiful would it be?
Oh my God! I mean, Colorado when it's green,
when you drive out next to like, how many times have I driven next to cornfields imagining that it's cannabis?
Exactly.
Oh my God, this would be so great. It would to see it for real,
because it does. It looks gorgeous. It's a green plant.
Well, and not even to get down into how much it would improve the air quality here. I mean, just like it's
awesome.
Just the fact that whenever I'm in my own personal garden, I can feel the quality of the air is better in the room, just because of the plants that are there. Take the plants out of the room and it just feels dead and stagnant, But talk about fields and talk about, the thousands and thousands of acres, you're producing tons of oxygen there, It's just like this will enrich our lives in every way, shape, and form.
Right, and it'll help cool the planet. I mean, there's
all kinds. If you used every single part of the plant on 1 acre, the farmer would make between $4,000 and $5,000 an acre.
So it's actually
an acre
tobacco.
I mean, it's ridiculous. You're kicking tobacco's butt on the amount that it can be done.
Yeah,
there's no pesticides. I
haven't worn too many tobacco clothes lately either.
No,
I haven't done either.
It would make a good clothing.
Yep. I mean, it's just it's pest resistant. It takes little water. I mean, it goes on its own. It's truly a miracle plant. And
it's kind of sad when you think about it too. I mean, the most valuable crop in our country right now is tobacco, and it only serves one purpose, and that purpose is pretty much to kill people.
Yep.
I mean, that's it. That's I can't. Is there anything else you can use tobacco for? I can't
give you lung cancer.
That's it. I mean, yeah, but
you can chew it, lose a lip, lose some tongue.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, it's just like it's this horrible crop that was considered sacred by the Native Americans because they use it very sparingly. But then we, of course, we don't do anything.
Well, the tobacco that they use is not the tobacco that we're
that is very true.
To. So that's the thing is, I mean, I'm not a tobacco advocate by any means, but it kind of blew me away thinking about like all the wars that were fought over it, or the people that have been killed or have gone through stretch lengths and to get this plant, and then it's like, well, that can't be the same plant, and sure enough it's not. I mean, there's some heavy tobaccos out there that will knock you on your ass, so the fact that they've taken this plant, and then they've toned it down to something that's acceptable to the masses because they don't even get anything out of it except for, a nervous tick is now, handled or something.
Right.
There's really not much out of it. But they've toned it down and turned it into something that's basically that's the reason we don't want them to touch cannabis, because we know they're not going to do anything good about it. They're going to figure out a way to make it less interesting for all of us.
So you have to smoke more of it.
Well, what's also interesting too is originally the machines that they use to cut the tobacco to make it doesn't work for cannabis, and so of course when the government decided to step in and help people and start growing cannabis for them, the first thing they figured out was, well, it tears that machine apart. They ordered all tobacco stuff, they put it in there, gummed up, all the resin got in there. So they purposely started growing very leafy strains so that they wouldn't have any buds. That was their big idea. Like, well, let's grow plants without buds so that the machine doesn't get jammed up. So basically all those government strains that they had were leafy, horrible plants that had no bud structure in them at all. So any of those government, like G13 is a famous one or whatever,
Right.
And that's about the best example of what came out maybe before that, but pretty much everything else that I've ever seen that's come out of Mississippi or you've seen examples of, it's literally leaf because that's what they're growing. They don't they don't even want to grow bud. So it shows you what the direction they're going.
And that's what I know that we all have this fear that if the government steps in and or the big it becomes federally legal, the big companies are going to come in, pharmaceutical companies, and they're going to mass produce cannabis for consumption. But I think that part of it is the culture of marijuana lends itself to the mom and pop kind of shops where most people who do smoke cannabis really do want to have that feeling of like, well, I know where it's coming from, I get where it's going, and I think we're going to see, it's the closest thing to wine out of any other of the spirits.
Sure, and cream rises is what I tell everybody.
Exactly.
So if you're really worried about it, I mean, I'm not overly worried about it because I always know that quality is going to prevail and people are going to always seek out the best. But it's, the more scary part to me is because now we're all into concentrates and everything too. It doesn't take. It comes down to tech, and it comes down to processing, and it comes down to large scale manufacturing, which that's the kind of stuff that the growing part I'm not too worried about because I think you really need to have a green thumb no matter what.
It definitely is a science. There's no question about that.
And the thing about concentrates, which I think is detrimental to the growing side, is that the fact that people can take sort of mediocre weed and turn it into high quality concentrates, which makes people who are growing not maybe take as much initiative to grow such a great product. So a lot of people that are, if their industry is only to produce concentrates, then to get them to actually take it to the next level to grow the best possible plant to produce that, it's kind of hard because most people want to cut corners, and so that's the only negative side I see to that part. And the biggest problem being is that they could literally take a field of crap and turn it into something that people would accept as a decent product, let's say.
Right, and I think that's why, at least in the marijuana side of things, that's why I think the state should make it so that concentrate companies make concentrates and centers grow product. I think that by giving the centers the ability to go ahead and do the BHO extractions and things like that, I think is definitely where it's definitely.
Well, I mean, right now we're in
the corners.
I mean, right now we're in that R&D department, which is classically enough we're all taking it on ourselves and paying for all this R&D, and that's where they're not stupid, so they're not going to step in until it's all figured out for them, and then come and try to take it away from us. And it's, so hopefully by that time we've created enough of a market that we're strong enough to stand on our own. But it is scary to think any bigger company coming in, and especially the part that hurts me is when you see people who definitely do not care about us as a they just look at us as a number, and they see the numbers and they think, well, this is a great industry to get involved in. But I think they're also mistaken because there is a sort of spiritual side to this whole thing. And usually, like same with American Indians and people doing peyote, like if you don't do it in the right setting, it'll kick you in the ass. They're not gonna have a good fun time out of this. And I think with cannabis, it's not as extreme, obviously, because it's not such a mind-altering thing as that. But it is protected. It is protected in some way, And I think obviously some people can come in and capitalize on a short term, but they usually don't make it long term because we're all about doing it for the right reason, I believe.
Well, and I think
you got those right.
I think we have, to create like a connoisseur culture in Colorado and in California, and the places that have legalized it medicinally already. And obviously, when we're going to adult use now, starting that. But I think we are getting to that connoisseur culture where people are looking at it and going, well, I only want to smoke good stuff. I don't want to smoke. I mean, once you smoke something that's really nice.
Yeah, it's hard to ever go back.
It really, in fact, I was at a bar the other day and I smelled swag. Yeah. And I was like, how do you even get that in Colorado anymore? That's almost more of like a rarity.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's crazy. You can get swag still. It's like.
I watched a movie last night called Savage. And it's got John Travolta in it, which is why I picked it up. He's got a very small role, but pretty decent movie. But that's exactly what the movie was about: is that Mexican swag versus some amazing stuff from growers out of California. And that's what the movie was about: is that the Mexicans going after these people that focused on growing some amazing stuff. I definitely encourage watching that movie. I think it just came out, but it was amazing because we could relate to it. I'm just like, sure, that's awesome that somebody did a movie on it.
Right. Well, because it is an experience now. It's not just like back in the day. I mean, I remember it was like somebody, if you had bud, it was because you bought it illegally and you got it and you were like, well, I'm going to have to deal with whatever I get and I'm going to like it whether I like it or not. I'm going to like it. Yeah. And now we can be picky about it. And I think
it's consumer world now for sure. I mean, before there was, and that's the thing about Amsterdam too. Is like, of course, everybody goes there. The first time you see a menu, you're like, this is amazing, and then now that whole fantasy world is now been blown up. I mean, now it's above and beyond menus. It's now like the when I showed people menus from here in Amsterdam, they were just like, oh my God. I looked at their menus. It looked like almost like a swag menu. Half the stuff was just run of the mill. So.
Now we're up on 5 o'clock, so we're about done. But real quick, where can people find you guys? What events do you have going on? Phone numbers, web addresses. I mean, how can people get in touch with you?
We got our retail store, 100% Hoodlam store called the Hood Lab. Okay. It's on 3354 Larimer Street, and like a really new and up and coming area.
It is a great area. So that's on Larimer between 33rd and 34th, just to give people an easier way to find it.
And of course, hoodlabstore.com for any kind of information, like phone numbers, mail us, etc. But what kind of event do we have? We got the Neat Market coming up on Sunday. It's a really nice vegan, organic, hemp, obviously too, because we're hosting it. Market with specialty foods and food trucks and DJs.
So it's every third Sunday of the month.
Nice.
Yeah, every third Sunday a month we host that market.
Okay. Now, is there they can go to your website to find out a calendar of events that you guys are doing as well?
Yeah, and to the Facebook also.
Yeah, and Facebook Hood Lab Store.
Hood Lab Store. So Hood Lab, that's HOODLAB store.
Exactly.
On Facebook. Look, I just want to say one thing. That these are two of my favorite people in the hemp industry. They do an amazing job with the hemp products that they do. Every time this is one of my favorite T-shirts. I'm wearing it today, and I get compliments on my jacket every time I take it out. I highly recommend any Hoodland product. It's very high quality.
Yeah, it's very addictive, actually.
It really is. In fact, when I ordered this stuff, we ordered this 6 months before they came in, and it was like I couldn't wait. I was like, when's it coming? When's it coming? I was like, I couldn't wait for it to get cold so I could wear my jacket.
Well, what you'll notice too is, once you wear Hoodlam, you're actually automatically part of a club, and that's the nice thing about it. If you meet somebody else wearing the same jacket, you pretty much know that they have a sort of similar idea in life. Occasionally, you'll meet somebody who has no idea what they're wearing, and they just happen to be wearing it. But most of the time, just by wearing the jacket, I've been, had no problems finding something to smoke.
It's funny because I own a Jeep. And, there's a bumper sticker out there called It's a Jeep thing. You wouldn't understand. Because every time when I got my Jeep Wrangler and I would drive around, I'd see another person in a Jeep. They would wave to me. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Same exact thing with Hoodlam clothing. Yeah, sure. And so you could say it's a Hoodlam thing. Yeah. You might not understand it until you own one.
Now, I see you guys on Hood Labsters.
We got
that's like our fan page, basically.
Yeah, Hood Lab Store is the business page.
And it's HOODLABSTORE.
Yeah.
That's right.
But you guys definitely go visit Hood Lab on between 33rd and 34th on Larimer. Please say hi to Adam and Cicci. They're two of my favorite people. Great. They've been awesome for the cause here. So one of the best additions to Colorado in the past year, and we're really proud to have you guys here with us today.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Thanks for listening to us on the Hemp Connoisseur Radio. As always, I'm David.
I'm Jason.
Peace, love, and hempiness.